We are back, jumping straight into Champs. Like, there are no breaks, there are no ways of delays for now, touch wood. But we are jumping into game number 2. PSG now 1-0 up in this series. And look, at the moment, it's the same bands except that Nico, because that was a bit of a problem for R7.
Yeah, and it's surprising to see us having an option in towards the red side again. We saw GG yesterday saying, hey, look, we prefer blue. We think it's like Talia is a super high priority pick, so we're going to stay on that side. But said R7 saying, hey, look, no, there's multiple things we want to pick up, so we're going to go red. Banning the Jarvan as well. So big circle comp out the window. And now it's up a case of, hey, what do you prioritize here? As PSG Talon, we saw things like the Orianna slip right the way through. Azir not being a big one, but Maple is a big player. But even I think things like, okay, I was going to say Jungle could be an option, but Maokai immediately going to be the take, which I'm kind of surprised at because we did see it kind of slip away a little bit yesterday and today.
Yeah, it definitely feels like it's not as prevalent as it was a couple of months ago, but PSG obviously feeling like Junja, it's still an incredible enabler if you have kind of, you know, the Rakan with it, something that can engage before, if that makes sense, when you kind of get the ultimate afterwards. But R7 now have a chance to repeat themselves and kind of give themselves a little bit of a priority in a different lane. It looks like they want to try and get Seo something that can match in that bot side.
Yeah, I mean, Seo definitely got himself caught out a couple of times, so he wasn't Ezreal. So I was like, you know what? So definitely going to give him a little bit more agency in fights where he can play for it, but certainly still needs to be quick on the trigger finger. With the Maokai tank coming in the opposite side, Audi going to go back towards something that he's happy with, which is going to be that Sejuani. So I think you open up now for Maple to potentially go towards an AD mid laner if he wants to with the Maokai there. But even yesterday we saw that, look, that isn't really the priority. I think Control Mage is just so incredibly strong on this patch that people will start to tend back towards that style instead. But Jace didn't get any touches and still very, very strong.
And still Maple's most played champion by a mile within the PCS. Like, something he is incredibly prolific on. And even, as you pointed out to me right now, a 91.7% win rate
over
with
12
games. I mean, this guy is comfortable, to say the least.
Yeah, very, very strong pick. And again, gives him a lot of control over the mid lane, sets you up well with a pushing lane. Also, just the opportunity then, if you want to go towards something like an Ezreal, you got a lot of poke that can try and come through with that. So can be a bit difficult, but also just a very strong team fight regardless. So I like the direction that PSG are going for. But again, I think this is a comp that kind of requires a bit of patience, which we didn't quite see in the last game. They were a bit all over the place. So curious to see how they want to try and operate this one.
Yeah, I think that was something we were talking about a little bit on the break, is that it was just kind of a little bit scrappy at times from PSG. Kind of finding, we mentioned it a couple of times during the match as well, is that it was kind of your turn, now tag out, now tag in, rather than being a cohesive unit. So it'll be a lot easier to do it this time around, but I do feel like if the Maokai goes in or the Rakan goes in isolated, they're going to get burnt down so quickly.
Yeah, and that's where I want to see, just take it slow. You have the opportunity to try and look for this. A lot of engage coming through from R7 though, so a lot of opportunities to try and punish if PSG Talon do end up getting separated on those engages. So again, kind of falling back towards what worked in the last one. I think Lions had a great performance on the Nautilus, catching out Junja several times, getting key hooks onto Wacko at times as well, but not quite being in a position to follow up. But Ken going to be taking away a lot of those. It's kind of what Mark Z was saying yesterday. It's like, oh, this comp hurt us in the last game, get rid of everything.
Yeah. I don't like this anymore. I don't want to play this game. But I mean, look, I kind of get it. And honestly, I think this Ezreal ban is fantastic. When you mentioned it just there, that the poke that could have been coming out would have been enormous had you not taken away that pick.
Yeah, surprised to see the Sylas though. Not something that, like, I know Sylas is doing well in the current patch, but it's kind of in towards a lot more of the control mages versus something like the Jace, where you don't really get access to that ultimate. But I suppose with having the Rakan and the Maokai there, they are a little bit nervous about that one. K'Sante over here for Bong, great pickup, very easy to operate in that top side, and just a strong blind pick, which leaves it open for Miru to go for this counter pick. He's still more than likely going to tend back towards something like maybe the Ahri that we saw already, something like the Azir. Both these mid laners very high on that pick. And even just having something that can have a little bit of range against the Jace is nice.
Orianna is still gone through the pack, and
I think she's so strong.
I know, right? But not even just so strong in her own sense, but also the fact that you can just cover so much of this poke with your command protect. You have so many ways of kind of like shielding, healing, and kind of movement speed to disengage away from the Rakan. There's so many little things like that, but the Rumble locked in at the moment, kind of really looking to try and push in that top lane advantage that PSG had in game number 1, keeping in with the AP theme.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very strong comp coming through from PSG Talon. You got great setup, as you say, with the Maokai and Rakan. A lot of long-range poke with the Rumble and the Jace. And now, I was going to say, if they go towards the Kai'Sa, you've got a good amount of poke as well coming through off that. But the key factor is, like, just having that follow-up DPS. Going to go... Actually, I'm not a big fan now of the Aphelios. I would have preferred the Sivir just to kind of help you get into these fights a little bit thicker when you do throw everything through. And yeah, I mean, there's the Orianna on the opposite side, but yeah, I think PSG Talon, like when Orianna was a threat, you're now putting Aphelios as a very close quarters fight, Rumble, Maokai in a similar boat. The only real long range threat that you have is going to be that Jace. I think that can be a struggle now as you start to get in towards fights with Sejuani jumping forward, the Knowledge jumping forward, and just setting up nicely then for the Orianna. So I actually think in All Out Brawls, R7 could have that opportunity for that big shockwave to change everything.
Absolutely, the shockwave, and not only that, kind of like isolating away any kind of maybe big danger man. If the Rakan or the Rumble is starting to look a bit, kind of dangerous in those kind of small skirmishes or even big 5v5s, you can just take them away completely, get the all out, get them isolated into a 1v1, and then all of a sudden you're in a much better position here as R7. PSG though, they have plenty of options, like you said, plenty of poke. It's going to come down, similar to game number one, as execution.
Yeah, I think the problem is though that we kind of saw PSG Talon struggle with that execution coming into game number one, and that's where I think if you go towards the opposite side, well, Sejuani great at pick, Nall is great at pick, and although we talk about Orianna being fantastic in team fights, that shockwave also is very good in those pick scenarios where you're just able to pull someone back away from that safety. So I think you do have opportunities as R7 to disrupt that. I'm curious to see exactly what the game plan is going to be.
He's not here, but he's here in spirit.
Yeah, he's probably co-streaming somewhere.
He's almost somewhere in the ether. Yeah. We can feel his presence.
Still rapping about the shy somewhere.
Yeah, propaganda, by the way, and I'll stand on that hill. Not going to talk about that until Swiss, but we are obviously picked and banned out in game number two. We're going to jumping straight onto the Rift and see if PSG can make it a clean 2-0, keep themselves in that winner's bracket, or if R7 have got themselves something fun in this series to bring us to.
Yeah, I think the big one for me is just seeing how much R7 showed up in the last one. Like, actually having that early aggression that was a struggle for PSG Talon. I really thought that PSG Talon, that would be kind of the strength of Junja coming in with this, Maple coming in with the Nico as well. But the fact that R7 were able to find that success kind of has me a little bit more hesitant for PSG Talon.
Aye.
Where I think now it's going to be a case of like, can they actually really have this opportunity to fight back and take over against PSG?
No, Takeover was the team last year.
Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, we're gods.
Sorry, they could glory and grind their way into this game.
Perfect. Yeah, good man. There you go. Well, we'll see. The glory and the grind is truly worth it coming out from either of these sides. And this is the great thing about the new setup within play-ins as well. Like, you get not only more matches between individual matchups, you get more opportunities to kind of make your move. Again, even if R7 lose today, yes, it sucks, but you have a lower bracket. You can still push forward and make something of this play-ins. And I really do feel like we are going to come into a situation where that lower bracket could mean huge implications for a team that just kind of, maybe shows improvement but hasn't been able to do it on the first day.
Yeah, and I think it's as well, like, just kind of looking to see all the different setups and the histories that we're starting to get now, because we had things like MSI where we got to see these teams kind of face off against each other. Like for PSG Talon, the opportunity to go up against Loud again. We're looking at R7 as well, wanting to go up against GAM. Like those are kind of like the mini rivalries that we're starting to get across the course of this. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see how both these teams end up going up later on against these squads as well.
While we connect the narratives, you at home can connect your League of Legends account with Prime Gaming to grab the explosive experimentation emote. Nice little Heimerdinger there. I think it's Hexperimentation, or is it Experimentation? I thought it was Hexperimentation.
I mean, we're League of Legends. It has to be Experiment.
Oh. This is explosive in the bot side. Nice little bit of movement here from R7. Again, we saw this in game one as well. Twice in a row, they've been able to get that early level 2 and really put pressure here onto Wacko and Woody.
Yeah, I mean, like, usually you can kind of see Aphelios have some sort of control over these lanes, but very difficult when you end up with the support matchup in the way it is. And both times now, Linz has just been in a great spot to get on towards Woody, and there's no reason that you should have to give over that. Like, oh, okay.
Oh, that minion! Oh, get down, Mr. President. Wacko needs to buy that minion a dinner after this because that saved his life.
Yeah, but I was going to say, like, Wacko completely out of pots now. You're looking at both pots burnt by Woody as well. So a huge amount of this early aggression from R7 is paying off. Like, Wacko, I don't know if he can kind of push up here for the next one, because even an Ignite, a hook, anything landing might be a bit of a disaster for him.
Yeah, and he's running out of Severum as well, so needs to be very, very careful. And honestly, this is Sayo kind of doing to Wacko what Wacko did in that first game. Constantly putting down the feathers, constantly making you think, are you going to be okay? Do I have the drawback? Do you have the position to walk up onto this? And even then, you can see Sayo with the on the Xayah. And oh, hook lands, the Ignite goes down. They almost get the feathers. I love the idea there from Sayo. Not quite able to land all the damage, though.
But that's what I was saying, right? Like, you didn't even have to use the flash there. Just misposition aggression coming through from Wacko, and Leons is there to punish. So now Wacko has to reset. He's going to miss out on these waves. Immediately Odie coming down as well to try and cover off on this play. A really good aggression from the R7 bot lane.
Yeah, 4 minutes, get yourself a plate. That's going to accelerate you towards that first item. Really, really well done. And again, like we said, we were pleasantly surprised with the kind of the level that R7 were able to play. Again, I don't think it's unfair to say that they are very much underdogs in this matchup.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we said at the start of the day, like, a failure for PSG Talon feels like not getting out of this group and getting in towards groups itself. So the fact that they're struggling so much in this bot lane is kind of telling at the moment. But I mean, great play from Seo and Leons, and the fact now again Wacko is going to be behind can open up opportunities for Leons to start to go for roams as well, especially as Seo starts to hit level 6 and he's got a bit more safety underneath this tower because Wacko's going to be behind and trying to move up towards Rift Tower. Like, this really gives a ton of opportunities for us having to play off that. I mean, even look at Leons at the moment, just starting to hover towards that mid. Probably won't be able to make anything out of it, but can cover any sort of gank that might be happening at the moment.
Yeah, well, level 6s will be hit soon here between the solo laners, but we'll have to wait and see. Bot lane is definitely the pressure point for R7 for the moment. We'll see if it does lead to any kind of major advantages or not. I do like that Bong's still able to kind of get most of the CS here. He is in a losing lane. He's going to fall behind. He knows what his position in this team is, and it is to kind of isolate the Aphelios out in those team fights. But obviously, we've mentioned that the Orianna is broken. We've mentioned that they are so extremely strong. I want to tell me why. Why is it broken? Why now has it become just be kind of big, massive power pick?
I mean, she's just gotten a ton of buffs over several different patches. Like 3 or 4 patches in a row, she just kind of started to get more and more power tweaked in towards her. And especially when you're looking at, hey, look, we're getting these, the amount of power that she has then is just incredibly strong. You're getting nerfs towards Tristana and some of these AD mid laners as well. They're just setting up, but here.
Yeah, he's going to look to wait to get the flash out of him afterwards. So there's a shockwave bringing them back in. So a little bit of a switcheroo, but I think Miru is very fortunate to not be going down there. Covered myself a little bit. Shockwave does decently there. I think he would have loved if they took another tower hit or so, but still gets out with only losing his flash. Oh, get a move in this mid lane. There's the cleanse coming out. They will be able to stop Woody from getting a fully clean engage, but Cleanse burned anyway because Seo still without his flash.
Yeah, I mean, you're still going to be able to pick up this wave. The Seo taking a little bit of a hit though, still has that lead, will still be fine. Should be able to cover this one mostly, but you can see the move from Maple. I actually don't know if Lanes wanted that one to hit because Maple is waiting in the wings here. Just going to pick up the fruit for the moment.
They do have a Jace coming in with an accelerated shock blast over the side here, so they could be very, very caught out as I see them now go for it, but they're getting a lot of damage on the Wacko. The feathers don't come back just yet though. The turret is still doing damage. First blood goes over. It's a 1-for-1. Both supports picking up kills.
Yeah, Wacko went way too early on that play. Tried to get into a position where he could follow up, but nobody had actually started tanking on his behalf, so the damage wasn't able to churn out. He gets into a difficult position and Woody has to give his life as a result, so a bit messy on the play. But at least they do get the kill, so Maple will at least force one wave to be missed by Seo, but not the best of plays from PSG Talon.
Not the best. Still 1-for-1. They get the first blood and they get a couple of 100 gold as well. So you see this wave. I feel for Bong right now. He wants to crash this so badly. He's like, it's in such a terrible position, not able to do it. But yeah, like you said, Wacko kind of just walks forward and then they just kind of go, cool, we're just going to engage on you.
Yeah, and you've already got a ton of feathers that are out. Really unfortunate from Seo that he couldn't actually get enough of the root down on towards Wacko, because I think that would have then been a turnaround play. Probably 2 kills going across to the R7 bot lane, but I mean, Wacko just way too quick on that play. Again, it's impatience that's coming back to bite PSG Talon in a lot of these equations.
A little bit of scrappiness, a little bit of impatience. We'll see now if PSG can kind of push themselves forward after that. It is still a decent move on the bot side. They will be able to kind of move forward knowing that that cleanse is down here for Seo. We'll have access to the Featherstorm hopefully very soon if you're an R7 fan. For the moment, it is still looking pretty even Stevens, and I'm loving lines on this Nautilus in the laning phase. He really does look confident and just kind of constantly looking for those hooks.
They might need to hook away here though, because I can already see Maokai starting to come down into position. Wave is not in a good spot for R7. They kind of know it.
Yeah, they kind of know it. They are going to be able to kind of move themselves away. Bit of Spider-Manning. They will get the double knock-up, but a root underneath the tower is not ideal. Seo gets crashed backwards. Not quite able to get the root. That's just an easy little pickup here for the bot lane of PSG. A little cleaner and a lot more important as they got the kill over to the Aphelios.
I mean, brilliant timing as well. Like, look at the purple bar underneath Seo there on the right-hand side of your screen. He was basically a minion or two away from level 6, and that play wouldn't have worked out. So just about getting in on that timer and finding that opportunity. So all that early game that we're like, yes, this is it for R7, is completely gone out the window. Wacko has the level advantage. He's got the CS advantage. He's going to have the reset advantage here as well and be able to pick himself up something nice. So I think this is where now PSG kind of starting to right a lot of those wrongs, and R7 again not able to play through the advantages that they picked up.
Yeah, there's that Featherstorm coming into play, like you mentioned there, for Seo, so he's finally got access to that. We do see a flashless Woody, but he does get caught out for the moment. They're going to look for a flash here onto the mid lane. They're going to try and jump in on top of this one. It's a good hook there to try and bring back Junja, but the shockwave, as he got knocked back, Miru is going to fall to this ignite. That's Woody picking up his second kill of the game. And this is more like the PSG we expected to see coming into this matchup. They are much more cohesive, much more confident to look for those big fights.
Yeah, Woody and Junja are doing work in this one to turn around a lot of these plays. Like, nearly a 20 CS lead coming through, about 15 CS lead was happening in that mid lane before Maple was able to pick up that lead. So Miru definitely having good control. But Woody coming up now with Junja to turn that around. 2 lanes righted, but maybe Woody's in the wrong place, but should be able to just dash away.
Still a Rakan, so he's going to have plenty of movement to get himself out of danger. We do see a little bit of movement coming in as well from the jungler, but Audie's kind of been a bit muted, to be perfectly honest. He hasn't really been in a position to make things happen, as you do get the goal difference over time coming in here, and little by little, bit by bit, it is just kind of going in favor of PSG. The feathers are being put down quite a bit. They will try out the ultimate miss. Unfortunately, if it does land, Guaco did have access to his cleanse, so I don't think it would have meant all that much.
R7 needed that to work, though. They're trading this for Rift Herald on the top side, and they can't. They will go towards Dragon, but you get Maple, who's coming back off this this reset in mid. He's going to be in a very strong spot. Like, they have to do this quite quickly. Push will come through on bot side, but Sale can't really stick around, so I'm a little bit nervous about the Dragon, although it looks like PSG not really wanting to over-contest here.
I do think that with Miru having full priority in that mid lane, it does make it a lot harder, considering there was a reset coming in from Maple, and he didn't want to use his TP.
It's just, you don't have a very quick Dragon, as you see, so that's where it could be a little bit dangerous, but yeah, they'll be able to take it. And now I'm looking at mid lane as Junja going to steal away the Raptors. Opportunity for an ult across the wall, but I think they're not sure exactly where the enemy jungler is. It's more than likely just going to back.
Yeah, very likely that the jungler could have just went straight mid after taking that Dragon of the global kind of call as such, but now kind of turning that from top lane, or sorry, from mid lane to top lane. Now we are going to see Bong just getting rooted down, didn't get the CC away from it, tried to go all out, tries to get him underneath the tower. It was almost a good thing, but Miru does TP in, now trying to find out where this Rumble is going. Will be able to eventually find him, you imagine, but taking a fair bit of damage by ignoring Junja. There's the shockwave, does finally land, and they will be able to trade back 1-for-1. Good flash to get away from that accelerated shock blast. And R7, they're trying to keep this one going, because I think they feel like it was kind of running away from them. Yeah,
a little bit. Miru able to get one back, which was nice, but you can see Ozzy with the sidesteps made him work for that one. PSG, though, able to move back down onto the spot side, but we're going to look here, like, nice play from Junja. I'm not sure when Bong used the W, though, because here you could actually get away from it, but must have just used it in the trade before this, and then knockback from Ozzy, good flash away. And then Miru, Junja just has no damage, so Miru is able to just ignore the big tree. The Whomping Willow, not too worried here. And then this was a nice shockwave, pulls Ozzy out of the bush, and just gets the kill before the rest of the team is able to show up. Maple tried to predict that flash, but just not quite able to get the position.
Yeah, I don't think the shock blast would have been able to kill him, but it definitely would have been a little bit more
I think it would have been
ho to go for it.
I think it would have set up them for the flash from Maple, then the full melee combo, and that would have been a dead Miru. So luckily enough, able to get away from that. Audi, though, back on this bot side, wants to try and make some play happen, but, I mean, Junja's here, and I just don't think your bot lane is strong enough right now.
Yeah, they've cleared all the vision, but, I mean, you've cleared the vision while also revealing that your jungler is here, so very easy with the guns you have available to you with the Infernum and the Gravitum to kind of just keep yourself safe, but also just clear the waves as they're being pushed into you. So not exactly a great opportunity here for R7 to capitalize upon, and I mean, we have a quick look across the board now. We are starting to get first items coming in. You do have the Radiant Virtue coming out here for Junja, going towards that more tanky related build. We do sometimes see the Demonic Embrace, but this time around it is the more tankier variant, and the Duskbladed Drakkar. So Maple already in a position to be able to kind of go aggressive. He feels like he can get that kill, get that invulnerability, and kind of move away from the fight.
Yeah, and it does make it difficult for Miru to try and stay in the lane at the moment, just because that Mythic Spike. The fact now that Maple gets to push waves pretty consistently and then move in towards working with Junja will give them a lot of control over this bot side jungle, and I think that's where you're going to be looking to see kind of the mid to bot plays working between PSG. Junja and Maple want to try and get some extra gold on towards Maple, like get this tower in a position where it's vulnerable with this Rift Herald, so having that support for Woody so he can get out and start to set this play up is going to be important. So keep your eyes on exactly where Junja is leaning towards, because more than likely, like right now, Woody's going to be quickly behind him.
Yeah, these guys are going to be the best of friends as they hang around this this rift, and they're looking for kind of big engages. And that's the thing as well with Woody and Junja having the Rakan and the Maokai. It's just such an easy 1-2 engage. You know, you drop down the Maokai ultimate like this, and you're able to kind of get a lot. Seo should have ult, and going to use cleanse instead. Interesting. So valuing the ultimate, or sorry, the ultimate cooldown higher than the cleanse cooldown.
I'm surprised because I mean, there's no real like fight coming up in the next little while. Like, you could have just had your ult up and available for the next dragon, unless he's massively worried about some sort of like dive play here. But that's not really going to happen. I think using your ult there would have been fine, and then you still would have been in a decent position. Like, the cleanse cooldown is just so much longer.
Yeah,
you could have just had both up for the next fight.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda. Unfortunately, that's not how this game has gone. Seo obviously has a... I mean, and look, watch us now. He'll have an amazing ultimate, which sets down all the feathers, 5-man route.
The thing is, he would just have both.
True. He would have just had both. But of course, there's the lane economy snapshot by MasterCard. And again, it's pretty good for everyone except for mid lane. And even then, 250, 269 is not really that big of a difference between the Jace and, of course, the Orianna. So very, very easy to see how PSG are going to find their advantages, especially in that top side with the Rumble just getting so far accelerated.
Yeah, I think for R7, what you have to try and do is like get control over bot side, then find a way to unlock lines with that, immediately move them into mid and try and pick before there's 40 seconds on Dragon, but you're not really in a position to do that right now. You can even see they've rotated, say, on lines in towards the mid lane. Maple's gone for a reset, so they will get control over mid, and maybe they can try and look for a pick as this Dragon is starting to set up, but it's without the amount of vision that they kind of need to make this happen, it's going to be hard. Woody, though, is going to be sitting here, so maybe PSG, with just being able to slowly push back out, will force R7 back.
One more time. Have a look at it. It's changed. Look, Maple's getting closer. It's not even 269, it's 212. But a little bit of an engage here as we start to posture for this dragon. This could be big for R7 as they may look for an engage. Cleanse has been used. So now neither AD carry has their cleanse, although Seo's one is up and a little bit short over time. We'll see if they want to go for anything there, but a big engage tool no longer available for R7. Again, you're looking at that Glacial Prison to really set up a fight.
Yeah, I mean, you still have lanes to try and set these up, but R7, this is the problem that you have. They're trying to make the pick before Maple could get into position with Jace. They had Miru off on a quicker track towards mid lane, but now you've given that control to PSG because they know, hey, we don't have to actually look out for Audi. It's a much more telegraphed engage that'll come through.
Good poke here with the accelerated shock blast. Again, if you don't see it coming in, you're not going to be prepared to put up those shields with the Nautilus and the Orianna. And the way things have kind of gone, you can see R7, they just don't feel confident to make that play. They say, look, we don't have the vision. We'll be walking into so many bits of damage. It's just not worth it.
Yeah, they could try and push mid very, very quickly and lean over towards the Rift Herald with the numbers advantage that they have, but with the resets coming through, they're not in a position to do so. So PSG now are going to get Dragon. They should get good damage. I think they should get bot Terror off this play, but also, I mean, even with the position that they're in, you can see Miru not really going to be able to hold on because Junja can try and threaten a potential dive here, and there's just nobody from R7 here to cover.
Oh, Miru could be in a lot of trouble here. Needs to walk forward a little bit, but no, just get hit up. There's going to be a TP straight away. They're tanking the turret straight off it. The shockwave does come down, but it's just too easy. Hotel top laners TP in, but I mean, what way can you already make this one work? You're in a 2v3, not really in a position for it. They will drop down the equalizer, the all-out, just to bring Junja underneath the tower. He has to flash away. There's going to be the ultimate put down on the Wako, who has no cleanse. A flash forward because the minion was standing in his way. A flash away by Wako, who finally puts down the ultimate. Moonlight Vigil does pepper down this damage, good Infernum damage. But I mean, it's PSG just kind of winning. It's R7 playing reactively, and unfortunately, it's not working.
Yeah, it's just the reset timers from R7 coming back to bite them. They weren't on the map quick enough, so PSG go, right, we take Dragon, we move bot, we know that R7 have gone for resets, so we can actually try and go for this dive. So you get the double TP coming through that still works out in favor of PSG. And now Maple going to get some good damage onto Score's top side as well. And the fact is, PSG have set themselves up with a 3,000 gold lead. They're going to get control over mid. They'll go towards Rift Herald. They'll extend that lead. And this is now where R7 are going to be in a ton of hurt. Odie trying to prevent that, though, by immediately moving top, but he's spotted.
Yeah, no element of surprise to come out from this one here, and that's going to be... Again, this is why we kind of put PSG as such heavy favorites. This is what they were doing in the PCS, just, you know, kind of calling all the bluffs, constantly putting in questions to the enemy team and saying, look, you're just not going to be able to contest us. You're not going to be able to kind of front up to us. And unfortunately for R7 in this game, they just haven't had that same kind of presence that they did in game number one.
Yeah, and they're basically doing what PSG want, which is yes, we get control, but we're also just going to slam Wacko in the lane by himself and let him scale, let him get his items. So as we kind of make plays elsewhere on the map. So for PSG, this is exactly where their comfort spot is. Maple, though, maybe not being so comfortable.
Oh, he just had a sixth sense about it. Knew something was up, and Audi unfortunately gets spotted out there by the accelerated shock blast. And honestly, Woody was off to the side there, so it could have been a little bit of a bait there with the amount of players that PSG had on that top side.
Yeah, immediately they're going to try and cover for this on the play, but again, you're not really in a position to try and fight this as R7. You can see how nervous they are, especially with that tower just slowly being chipped away. But if you're committing 4 members to top side, fantastic. Ozzy is still going to be in a great position against Bong. You can see Bong actually surprised to see him go for the Iceborne Gauntlet, like a full armor build into the AP damage, which is why he's probably struggling as much as he is. But this was great from Junja. Knock back first to use the W to dodge the shockwave, so he never has to worry about that and can try and get out of range. So just nice decision making from Junja on the play. And then Bong here as well, you can see like how much damage is going to come down on him in a second. Like the AP damage is melting him with the build that he's gone. Like usually you'll see the Jack Show coming through in a matchup like this where you still get those tanky stats and you can still at least have some impact in fights, but I'm just not a big fan of the Iceborne Gauntlet here.
Yeah, it does feel like it's kind of for Maple and Wacko, which is great, but also just not going to help you in the laning matchup that you're in, which is the Rumble and the Maokai. So a little bit unfortunate there, but look, we'll see if it does end up leading to anything more. We do kind of come up to about 20 minutes now. 13 seconds until the Baron spawns. Only about a minute 30 until the next dragon. It is a Mountain Soul, so plenty of value for both these teams. And I will say for R7, if they can get that dragon stacking, it can be great for something like a Sejuani, a Cassante, and of course a Nautilus. But you got to get there. That's the thing. You can do all these beautiful wishes, but you gotta make them happen. You can't just sit there and hope they do.
I think at this stage though, we're gonna be waiting again for this next dragon to come up. Minute 15 until that. That's where R7 can try and find something, but at least PSG, like, they're in a great spot. They've full control over mid. They've got the poke that they need. They're getting the vision control down. They've got the side lane control thanks to Ozzy as well. It's just making it so hard for R7 to make anything happen.
They're looking to find Wacko. They will catch him. Cleanse used immediately. They are backing this one away as well with a little bit of an ultimate from the Maokai. No full engage coming out. Audi takes a fair chunk of his health bar out. That's not a bad play coming out here from R7. It does burn off that summoner just before the dragon spawns at 45. The Sejuani should be able to take a camp or two to heal up.
Yeah, I mean, at least you're getting something, but again, that big ultimate is down for R7 as they start to come into the fight, right? And that's kind of what we've consistently seen is, yes, it's nice to get the summoner spell down, but like the rest of the follow-up isn't there. Like you kind of want this more for as the fight kicks off, so maybe you can pick Ozzy, maybe you can pick someone else, but picking on towards Wacko every time is like fantastic. We're actually fine because 20 seconds until dragon. Lions is your engage, I suppose, and you kind of hope for the best that he gets on towards someone that can that we can try and follow up on. But when you've got like Junja in the front line, Woody's going to be able to disrupt that engage. It becomes significantly more difficult for Nautilus to be that sole engage tool.
Yeah, and the thing is as well is that regardless of anything like that, you still have the Rift Herald as well to kind of go for it. Seo had to take a reset and go back to kind of heal up before this. TP comes in from Miru to try and cover this push, but all that effort, all that time and investment you put around this Dragon Pit to kind of get something is not going to be there. And I was just about to say, just before Audi put down a pink ward on it, that is a TP ward for this Rumble if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, immediately. Going to have him in towards the backline. PSG, though.
Oh, my God.
Right, like you say, like the amount of poke that they have. Audi going a bit far with Junja, though.
Junja kind of going on a little bit of a longer trip than he anticipated there. Lions throwing out a bit of a wayward hook, but for the moment it seems to be just fine for everybody to kind of just keep posturing around. Bot lane pushing in favor of PSG, top lane pushing in favor of PSG. They're dotting their I's, they're crossing their T's, and it's R7 who are going to start feeling the panic. Like now, it means they can't contest.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do. I mean, this is kind of just like a walk home now for PSG. Yes, you've got this incredibly strong pick in the Orianna, but even she's had to opt towards a Banshee's Veil, which because of how much damage Ozzy is doing, so which again, I'm not the big. I think you've got to just go for that soul damage here in this kind of position, but if you're going to play defensive here, I think you're just going to slip further and further behind. So PSG, they got good scaling coming, or well, they got scaling on the Aphelios that's coming through, but I suppose if you can hit like mega late game for R7, you're in an okay spot. But with 2 dragons now until Soul for PSG and Mountain Soul to boot as well, Baron up on the map, your opportunities to find that scaling aren't there.
I've seen this one before on the other side of the map. I know how this movie ends, but this time Miru is also going to go for it. Shockwave comes in just to delay it, but It's the same result every time, and again Bong comes in just to find his laner already dead.
Yeah, call it the Canadian, the maple tree going absolutely insane on this one with the picks that they're finding on the top side. Raz will be proud, but for R7 they're not so happy with it.
No, they don't want to go visit Canada anytime soon, but I mean, yeah, look, this is just kind of slow, methodical, very telegraphed, but also PSG, they know how the R7 are moving around the map. They know exactly how they want to make this, play this game, and it's becoming almost predictable how R7 are moving.
And it's like everyone on R7 immediately responds to topside, and you're like, cool, we got Maple on the bot lane. So for PSG, as long as they can just walk this one out, which surely they do now, well, cool, now we've got a massive wave pushing into bots that you got to deal with. So Maple's like, great, well, now we've got numbers advantage for mid. Let's rotate to mid. Sayo's like, I will try and clear this out, but in a second, I'm going to be completely outnumbered. But R7 are going to actually be able to move into position, try and cover this, but I think the poke in a second for Maple is going to be a tough one.
Definitely could feel how much that was going to hurt there for Sayo, who's not got any resistances naturally as a AD carry of his team. So looking at a 2.5 item Jace coming out from the side would just be monstrous. The Banshee's Veil does get finished up here finally by Miru, but I mean, like you said, it feels like R7 are just running around the map like almost like a 5-man at all times, and then as soon as they kind of realize, okay, we don't need to do that, they get kind of caught out, and then all of a sudden it's predictable. So it does feel like a catch-22 for them. Damned if they do, damned if they don't, and PSG are just comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, at this stage, hang on, engage.
Yeah, engage comes in. They're going to get the ultimates out, but can they get the damage in? That is the question. And Nautilus goes down. The turret finally goes in. Oni does flash away. The shockwave good to catch Wacko. But I mean, he just gets himself the Gale Force to get away from this one. And yeah, look at the Hellfires. Like, they did nothing comparatively, and it just feels like R7 are clutching at straws.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they can turn towards Baron, though. I mean, look, Lions is down, but you're going to have the resets coming through from R7. Unless Maple can get some good damage down, but they do have to be careful as R7 come back onto the map. Lions being down does suck, but yeah, it looks like they just might be able to burn it down.
I mean, what ultimates are really available right now? You've got a lot to try and re-engage onto this. The all-out is there, but maybe just bait someone in. The vision control is in favor. PSG are just trying to get anyone into an isolated situation. 4,000 HP onto this Baron. Yeah, PSG do not want the 50-50 just yet. They're going to just keep peppering down these damage, and they know they can go for Bong because he's going to have to go all out. Junjin takes a hell of a lot of damage, but he's able to walk away just at the last second. Everyone's just kind of moving in. It's a little bit of a 1v1 on the top side there as Lions joins back in. And now the Rumble's very isolated, not with his team. He may have to try and get out of this by his own, but he doesn't have flash. He has nowhere to go, and he's overheated, which means he goes down. Bong picks himself up the first kill of the game. And PSG, they didn't really know what they wanted to go for there. The Baron got too low.
Well, that's what the problem was. It's like, I think you had Oddie that was still in a good position to actually get in towards the pit, so I was a bit worried about the 50-50, but also they just didn't have the burn damage that they needed. Although PSG are like, hang on a second, maybe we can try and sneak this. Not as confident though, as they start to see the rest of R7 get into position, but I wasn't sure how much burn damage they had, and I think they overestimated themselves there to be like, hey, we can try and burst this down before R7 get into position. But you can see Bong, like, the second he steps up is in a decent spot, but Junji here, good ult, great setup, and like there's nowhere really for R7 to run to. You try and move back, you're in towards the equalizer. Trying to move forward, you're in towards the rest of the team. And I think that shockwave only hitting onto one person really sucked there, because you would have liked to have that as a big follow-up play, but it's just not quite there. And Lions, again, great setup onto Ozzy, who was just that little bit too far forward.
Yeah, Lions literally coming out of base being like, remember me? And it's like, oh, yes, that's right. We were 4v5. We didn't actually have all eyes on all 5 members. But still a 5,000 gold lead for PSG. Yes, it's a little bit of a hiccup there with the Rumble being taken out, but it's not the biggest deal in the world. 3 items now for Maple. Sorelda's Grudge finished up, and you're building up towards a 3-item Aphelios as well.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Like, you're kind of saying, hey, look, it feels like R7 are running around the map to try and make plays happen. It feels kind of like the end of a Cookie Mama level, where you're like, everything is on fire, we're just running around trying to manage whatever we can, and yes, the level ticked over, and they've managed to survive, but now it gets more difficult.
Well, that's a Moonlight Vigil that doesn't really go anywhere. They're moving on to Junjin now. They're going to have to commit more ultimates here. Shockwave, sombreros onto nothing, and now they can turn and burn back on, because Seo's dead as well. You've no consistent DPS, R7. They thought they had found someone to kill off, but they end up losing almost everything in that fight, and that could just be the Baron straight up there.
Yeah, it 100% is. Immediately PSG are going to clear out this mid lane, start to push over towards the objective, and there's just nothing you can do. Again, Mirror, these ultimates have just not been connecting whatsoever.
No, not at all. And again, like, you're committing everything onto Junja, who we mentioned earlier has gone full tank Maokai. It's not really the priority target. Like, I just feel like they're again clutching at straws, looking for anything and everything that could possibly come out and give them some kind of an advantage as the tanks try their very darndest to kill this dragon as quick as they can. But I mean, trying to deal with a Jace is hard enough with the poke, but now with a Baron, it's going to be insufferable.
Yeah, and I think, look, they were like, hey, look at Rumble bot lane. Let's try and make the pick. Let's 4v5 this. But Junja, terrible spot. Miru not being able to connect with the ultimate there as well. And you're just so overextended trying to make this pick happen, but you just don't have the damage. I mean, again, Banshee's Veil on the Orianna, she's not really turning out the damage that you need to. The Xayah was set behind early, despite a nice start. 0-3, like, where is your actual damage coming from to make these picks happen?
Yeah, I think that's the big thing, is that once Seo goes down, there is no other one else. Yes, the Orianna is very strong, but she relies so heavily on her combo. And again, PSG, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. There's no need to go for anything else. You just have to keep putting out that ultimate. It'll be up in about a minute's time again, and then you do it again.
Yeah, and again, they're all over the place. Like, look, Odie's trying to clear out mid-wave against Maple, whereas you'd kind of want him to be with the team. He's now going to get collapsed on as PSG come over.
Yeah, PSG are going to look to maybe... Like, that's 1v1. Odie can't step up to this because he's only got a Radiant Virtue. He's pure HP. What's going to happen there? Like, I don't understand it. You don't really show it. They're panicking, and it feels bad, but finally they look to try and make a play. But again, onto Junja, the tank. They're throwing everything in the kitchen sink at it, but now the knock-ups into the charm. Sales already lost his Featherstorm. And can they try to burn this? But finally a good hook lands, but they've already got the stopwatch from Maple, so he can delay it. This is 4 versus 5. The Rumble isn't even here. The Rumble's not even looking to join. 4v5, and PSG are burning them down. Wacko goes forward, and they're all being taken out. Yes, the shockwave comes in onto one, but it's just too little too late. And this is PSG putting a marker in the play-ins.
4 versus 5. PSG Talon win the fight, and 2-0. They're going to take down OR7 and deny them that opportunity at the 2-peat on the international wings.
I mean, PSG were the favourites coming in. Game 1, R7 definitely showed a bit of life. Game 2, they just looked lost, floundering. PSG got themselves warmed up, got themselves back into the series, and really put down the herd. Really well done there from PSG. And they get themselves the expected result, and I expected how they got it as well.
Yeah, I mean, much cleaner game coming into this, right? Being able to play around their team fight, setting up well. I will say, still question marks around the bot lane.
Yes,
I mean, Wacko definitely having a bit of a rough day, but still they're able to pick up the win. And again, he was very good when it came towards those later fights. And yeah, I mean, PSG just a significantly better team coming into game number 2.
Yeah, absolutely. They took their training wheels off. They were a little wobbly at the start there and kind of went like, oh, maybe I'm not comfortable with this. But then it was smooth sailing all the way down that hill. And I mean, for R7, it feels bad sometimes, but it's just kind of like that's just how the cookie crumbles. Thankfully for them, they will have that lower bracket, but they definitely a couple of things to shore up in that regard.
Yeah, I think the fact that we had it so much kind of fixing going on coming through from Junja, he was able to get good control over that bot side. You then unlocked the Rakan to be able to play around the mid lane and Maple, and then Maple in this game looked absolutely fantastic.
Yes.
He was a beast on this Jace.
I mean, it feels like you either got to ban the Maokai or you got to ban the Jace. You got to ban one of the two because they are so comfortable with that composition. And I mean, Maple, I mean, he was just doing so much damage. Yeah, PSG Maple, we're very well aware of him back in the LPL. He has continued his lineage within the PCS and honestly keeps pushing forward within the play-ins, again looking towards that Swiss stage.
I mean, he's such a massive player coming into the coming into the PCS, and then now rejoining PSG Talon. It's so sick to see him back.
Yeah, we do have our Oppo player of the series. It is the man we were just talking about. It is Maple. I mean, it couldn't have been anybody else. This guy with the Pop Blossoms, with the Jace, he was the enabler for his team.
Yeah, and I think in a lot of situations when they were very disjointed in game number 1, it was Maple who was stepping up on this pick on towards Sale to set them up in game number 1. When we got in towards those later fights as well, he was oftentimes getting again like this. I think he flashes in onto the back line of this play to make sure that he's getting on towards Sale, on towards Mira. Yeah, you see it here again, just causing so many issues for OR7 in game number 1. And then as we started to get on towards the Jace, he was an absolute beast, like picking up so many of these early kills, using his advantages elsewhere and making sure that he was taking PSG Talon to the victory.
I mean, it just looks so textbook. It really did on this Jace as well. Like, they looked so comfortable, they looked so composed to be able to make the advantages work. And to be perfectly honest, there wasn't really a lot R7 could do about it. You needed to try and go for something a little less than standard, and unfortunately for them, they fell right into the trap.
Yeah, I think it was just PSG kind of showing, hey, look, we know how to set up better on the map. We know how to get our waves into a position that we want to, and then we're able to make these picks happen. And unfortunately, R7 just weren't ready for it.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. But again, moving in now to keep them, PSG will keep themselves in the winners bracket, and of course, we'll see R7 down in the lower bracket after this. But after the break, we will continue with GAM Esports facing off against Loud here in Worlds 2023 play-ins. Don't go anywhere.